everybody, welcome to Season 2 of No Falcon Left Behind. I'm D. Viper, your host, and this is Troy McClure from Mad Max Cars. This time we're going to take a look at a 1975 Ford Falcon Coupe that's seen better days. We're going to take a look at how the car is, what condition it's in, and where we're going from here to get it fixed and on the road as a brand new looking car. It's all ready to go out to media blasting now. We've got it reinforced to go back up on the rotisserie when it comes back. So let's take a look at it. As you can see, this car is pretty rusty overall.
It has a little bit of rust on it.
It was stripped down to bare metal and left outside for decades. Now we've already reinforced the doors and the front fender apron so that this car can go up on a rotisserie. But as you can see, it's pretty rotted out. We've already cut the rocker panels out in preparation for sandblasting inside them. They were really totally gone, so the point here is clean them up and seal them inside so they have longevity. The cowl panel is totally rotten, inside and out.
Yeah, get a look at the other side.
On this side of the cowl panel, we've already cut it open in preparation for media blasting and repairs. But as you can see, it is gone. We think this is possibly damage from a forklift in a junkyard. This car was literally on its way to get scrapped when we saved it.
This one, the same deal. The rocker panels are out.
The rear wheel archers are totally rotten out, so we already cut them away in preparation for tubbing them and putting Mad Max wheel flares on it and sandblasting inside there so that they're all clean and nice. Of course, the bottoms of the quarter panels are totally rotted away and already cut off. Definitely the bottoms of the rear quarters need replacing.
You might think, by looking at this car, why even bother? But believe it or not, this car is worth probably a good 15 grand as is.
That's the truth. And there's a lot of parts available for these cars, but we're going to have to hand fabricate a lot of stuff. Here, as you can see, the rear taillight panel has been bashed in, but it's got to get replaced. It's rotten and bashed in.
Yeah. It's actually rotted out on that edge right there.
It's rotted out all the way across the bottom, so it needs replacing even if it wasn't bashed in.
The quarters are what everybody freaks out about, and they're in pretty good shape. I say pretty good.
Pretty good. So yeah, in general, the roof and the quarters, as Troy said, are not that bad. We've stripped down some of these cars and found that the quarters and the roof were just horrible. In this case, not so bad. Seen worse in any case.
Yeah, I've seen worse. Some of the nicest cars out there that we've built have had worse rear quarters, so. And worse rust. This one is still savable.
As you can see, the floor pans are going to need replacement, or at the very least a lot of spot patching. Again, I've seen worse, but up in the front they definitely need replacement.
But overall, still savable.
And of course, typical rust in the package tray up here. They don't make a package tray, so if we can patch it, we will. They do make this rear panel between the boot lid and the rear window, which probably has to get replaced as well. And certainly all the way around the trunk lid, as you can see.
Pow.
Pow. Yeah, we ought to blow it up. And along the gas tank lip. Looks like we've got it all loaded up and ready to go. Time to take it down to the sandblaster. There she is, off to the races. Dropping it off at Northwest Powder Solutions. Bill, you want to help me with that? Getting loaded up after sandblasting, getting ready to come back to the shop. Well, there it is, everybody, back from sandblasting. Got a bunch of the sand cleaned out and we brought it in here to finish prepping it up to put the DP90 on to protect that metal. Let's take a look at some of the rust spots that we'll find here. Boy, do they look worse after it's been stripped down. Some areas are worse than others. We're fond of saying that about most cars. This car is pretty solid in some ways, but it's got rust about as bad as we've ever seen in most of the areas that are pretty typical, so it needs help all over. The engine bay's not too bad. The radiator support's good. The cross members and stuff are good. Most of the underpinnings are pretty good. Thankfully, the front aprons are really decent, but the further you go back, the worse it gets. The first really bad thing is this cowl here. You can see all the way along the bottom, it's got little rotten spots. Those can be patched if it's good everywhere else, but it's not. Let's take a look. Yeah, so if you were wondering how bad the lower cowl is, here's a little bit of an idea. Passenger side, pretty rotten. Driver side, very rotten. All the way down into the firewall, but up there, it's bad. Fortunately, there's a guy who's making replacement panels for these now that are just coming out, so we'll get to find out how well they fit, and we'll patch the firewall by hand. A lot of this was already cut out when we got the car. We've cut it back just a little bit more to provide some access, but you can see it's all rotten underneath here. Lower cowl is rotten, all the way around those vent hoods. Upper cowl has been cut out and was definitely rotten. We even put this brace in here just to make sure the car stays stable and in place while we're repairing all of that metal. These supports also give it a little extra strength when we're moving it around. We've even done that in the doorways here because we cut out the rocker panels or sill panels depending on what part of the world you're in. But here it's the same thing as the other side. It's all rotten down into the lower parts. The lower sections of these A-pillars are starting to rot out a little bit. And it's gone all the way down in there. There's not even a vent hat in here. Totally rusted out and gone. So it needs upper and lower cowls and repairs all the way around the A-pillars. Not so bad on this side, but over here you can see we've really got our work cut out for us. That whole panel needs to be replaced. And even down here at the bottom, yeah, the backside of these A-pillars needs some patching too. Yeah, the rocker panels were totally rotten out, but thankfully, the bulkhead behind these sill panels is not so bad. A little patching here and there, but we don't actually have to replace them, thankfully. Well, over here on the passenger side, you might think that I was right, that they're both decent. But no, that one needs some major repair, if not replacement. Look at the back end of that. Yep, that's totally gone to lace. Replacing the sill panel won't fix that. We're going to have to patch that part in. And the same thing's happening over here in the back of the doors. Same thing's happening a little bit over here, but those patches will be a lot easier. Not nearly as trashed on this side. You might remember earlier in the video there was little pinholes of light coming through the floor. Well, now that it's blasted, it really looks like it got blasted by a shotgun or something. Yeah, those holes are pretty bad. And this one even already has a patch on it from somebody long ago. That's coming off, and these are getting replaced by actual floor panel sections. That damage we looked at here in the quarter window, yeah, that still looks pretty bad. There's definitely some rust around it, and we still think that might have been a forklift that did that. Yeah, there's damage over here too. Was that a forklift? I don't know, maybe something bumped into it, but it's just as rotten up underneath. Okay, I know some of you purists are going to be horrified by what we've done here, but this is going to be a Road Warrior replica, so this is actually salvageable. Pretty much everything we've cut out was rusted and gone. Are we gonna buy a new panel to replace any of this? Nope, not necessary. We can patch what's left. Somebody's already done a little patching. We're gonna take that out and do it right. Wondering what that hole's for? Same as these up here. This car was originally equipped with factory louvers. We've got a little patchwork ahead of us up here at the top of the rear window. Oh yeah, the trunk steel channel's gonna need help. Bad patches there. Trunk corners need it. Of course, the whole taillight panel, as we've discussed, is getting replaced. And so are those. But some of this is just gonna have to get patched to be done right. At first glance, you might think that the trunk floor is not that bad. This is actually somebody's horrible repair that needs to be taken out and done right. Same exact thing over here. Rust around a bad repair. It's all got to get taken out and put together the right way with new panels. Yes, this thing got hit in the back. Taillight panel's got to go. We'll salvage that mount for the latch. Rusted all the way around back here. Those brackets, the trunk floors, and this whole panel here behind the bumper, that's got to get replaced too. It was damaged in the collision and it's also rusty. Here it is from the other side. Maybe in some other circumstances we might try and save it, but no, it really needs to be replaced. Yeah, those trunk floors are definitely rotten. And so are the drop downs for inside the lower quarters. Every car has its good side. The bulk of these quarter panels is solid, not rotten, and not banged up. Unlike most every car that comes in here, they all seem to have banged up quarters, but this one does not. It was definitely rusty down here, and you can see the trunk drop down on the other side of that lower quarters rusty also. But in general, one decent expanse of metal that we don't have to repair, that we usually do a lot of banging on. Yes, we're gonna have to do some there, but the big slabbed sides of these quarter panels are actually really good. That lower quarter panel and the trunk drop down have to get replaced here too. As long as we're talking about good stuff, that roof's never been danced on and it's not rotten either. Nice solid roof. Okay, it got danced on right there. It's amazing what you can see through the camera lens. That's going to require a little hammer and dolly, but it's not bad. And the drip rails are a pretty common area to find rust. Well, wouldn't you know it, the torque boxes are probably going to need some help. Not too bad up there, but gaping holes under here. Torque box on this side might actually be just about good enough. Seat brace is going to be strong enough. Actually looks pretty decent. The floor's rotted around them, so we might not know until we get the top layer of metal off of there. But I don't see any big gaping holes in the seat braces at least. That's a good thing. Spring pockets aren't too bad either. That spring pocket's pretty strong also. Good bones. The frame sections are good and strong also. Car has a good side to it, what do you know? So that's an overview of this 1975 Ford Falcon Coupe from Australia. This is Troy McClure, and I'm D Viper, your host. Thank you for watching Season 2, Episode 1 of No Falcon Left Behind. Catch you later.